Okay, I think we're going to get started. I see a bunch of people are rolling in. So I don't want to waste any time. Let's jump right in. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining today's virtual panel titled Working with CORI and Recovery as we celebrate National Recovery Month. My name is Bethany Sirota, and I am the Deputy Director of Programs and Operations for the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development here at the city. And I'm excited to serve as moderator today for today's panel discussion. To get us started, we'll hear a few remarks from our esteemed and fearless leader, Mayor Martin J. Walsh. Dr. Falk, do you mind queuing that up for us?
You have to make me host. Thank you.
All yours, Dr. Falk.
Hi, this is Mayor Marty Walsh, and thank you for joining our panel today. Every year, the city hosts a series of events to commemorate Recovery Month. This is an important time to raise awareness and help people get supports that they need. We know that many of our residents who are in recovery sometimes experience barriers to employment, including CORIs. That's why we launched Project Opportunity, a new initiative to provide a specialized support for residents impacted by CORIs. We offer help for free CORI sealing and expungement services, career development, workforce resources, and virtual panel discussions like this one today. These kinds of supports can make a world of difference for people in early recovery who are working hard to get back on their feet and regain their sense of purpose. This new program is also an important part of our commitment to equity in our workforce. People of color are disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system. It perpetuates cycles of poverty and creates barriers to education, housing, and employment. I will always fight for diversion opportunities, and Project Opportunities goes a step further by targeting CORIs and connecting people to the job opportunities they need to move their lives forward. In today's conversation, you'll hear from our groups of speakers about workforce opportunities we offer here in Boston and a range of resources that we have available for residents impacted by both CORI and the recovery process. Next month, starting on October 6th and every Tuesday in October, Project Opportunity will also be hosting a CORI-friendly job fair and workshop series. These will be in partnership with Mass Hires, Downtown Boston, and Suffolk County Sheriff's Office. You can learn more about the upcoming events on Project Opportunity's website. Thank you for joining us in this conversation, and I encourage you to take advantage of these important resources and spread the word about them. And I encourage more employers to get involved in our efforts. Reach out to our Office of Workforce Development to learn more. Lastly, I want to say to everyone in recovery, keep up the good work. Keep it a day at a time. Know that your city is always here to support you. During these difficult times, it's especially important to remember to ask for help when you need it. And remember to take it one day at a time.
Thank you so much for your help in sharing that.
Looks like I'm struggling on the Zoom. Give me one quick second to figure out how to stop sharing. You can turn me off from being the host, maybe. That might be the best way to do it. And I'm sure our attendees will recognize that Rufus might not be so tech savvy, so please forgive me. Maybe try removing me from being the host. That might do it.
Well, you're no longer the host.
Okay.
It's okay.
So are you still waiting for me?
Yeah, have you stopped sharing?
I can't get to the,
okay.
1 second. Here we go. Is that it?
Great.
All right, please hear me, everyone.
This is all new territory for many of us. So thank you all for your patience. And of course, very special thanks to Mayor Walsh for providing such an encouraging message to kick us off this morning. I also have to extend an enormous amount of gratitude to the mayor for his dedication and his support for our Second Chance residents impacted by CORI, and especially those who are in recovery. Project Opportunity and the partnership with the Office of Recovery Services really does stem from the mayor's charge to create this initiative. And we are truly grateful for his support and the opportunity to serve our residents impacted by CORI and as part of the recovery community better. Thank you again for joining us this morning. If you just jumped on, welcome to Working with Recovery, and for those impacted by CORI especially. This morning, we are celebrating National Recovery Month as we wind down the month of September, I'm sorry. And one of the ways we're doing that is through today's panel, Working with CORI in Recovery, in order to really highlight the unique workforce challenges and opportunities for residents impacted both by CORI and the recovery process. So this panel is part of a series run by Project Opportunity in partnership with the Office of Recovery Services and is a collaboration of, between many city departments, which I'll acknowledge in a moment. Also, special thanks to Chief Martinez and all the cabinets that make up the HHS cabinet, all the departments that make up the HHS cabinet, especially the Office of Recovery Services, Jen Tracy and her team. You guys do incredible work. Also, shout out to Trin Nguyen, my boss, the director of the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, and the entire OWD staff. Also want to acknowledge our Project Opportunity team, the Mayor's Office of Public Safety, Dr. Falk. Thank you so much for your support, technical included. To SOAR Boston, to Leah Wright, and Davo Jefferson, to the Office of Returning Citizens, Kevin Sibley, thank you so much for your partnership and contributions to Project Opportunity. To the folks who work behind the scenes to make today possible, shout out to Katie Leisner from OWD, Brendan Little, Christian Arthur, and Alejandro Guzman for all of your hard work from the Office of Recovery Services. And of course, very special thank you to our incredible group of speakers, all of our partnering organizations and service providers, residents, and of course, a very, very warm thank you to everyone who's joined today and what will be, I believe, a very informative and engaging discussion. So before we get started, just want to cover a few housekeeping matters. The duration of the program is scheduled to run for about an hour and a half with time at the end for Q&A. You've joined us via Zoom webinar, so you're all muted, but you'll be able to submit your questions using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. You can also feel free to utilize the chat function during the program for a more interactive experience. Keep the questions coming. We love it when you're engaged. Of course, do employ self-care as needed. This conversation is being recorded, so it will be available on the Project Opportunity webpage thereafter. Welcome again. Thanks all for being here. We're so fortunate to have such an esteemed group of speakers and dedicated public servants with us this morning. So with that, I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves. We'll start with our City of Boston department, so Recovery Services, Public Safety, SOAR Boston, and then on to our partnering organizations. Jen?
Great. Okay. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for all that have logged in and called in. We're really looking forward to sort of our last official event of Recovery Month. I'm Jen Tracy, the director of the Mayor's Office of Recovery Services. Happy to be here.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rufus J. Falk. I am the director for the Mayor's Office of Public Safety. I've been in this role for about 1.5 years now, and it's just been an honor to be one of the partnering agencies for Project Opportunity. As a city, we just try to expand the access for all of its residents, and this initiative is just speaks to that. So I'm looking forward to the conversation. I'm very glad to be here, and let's continue this great work.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Sibley. I'm the director of the Office of Returning Citizens, and thank you for being with us today, sharing this information. Many of our partners out there, we appreciate you, and we look forward to engaging with you further. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carla Acevedo. I'm the Director of Reintegration at the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, and really excited to join this conversation and learn from all of you, and look forward to the questions as well.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marisa Lopez. I am the director of the New Market Jobs Initiative, a program of the New Market Business Association. We launched just this year in 2020, and we're really excited to be here with you all and learn and share what we have to offer and hear everyone's questions and provide resources for everybody here today.
Good morning. My name is John McGinn. I'm the president and CEO of Gavin Foundation. I want to thank the city of Boston and all its departments for the opportunity to be here today. I think that I'd like to also mention that the good partnership that we have with state returning citizens, people dealing with CORI. So I want to thank them for the participation in all our programs and our community partners that Gavin systems benefit from working with. So I look forward to the discussion today, a little bit about services as the presentation was for. Thank you.
Great. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. As you hear, folks, we have an incredible group of speakers with a plethora of resources, which we're going to hear more about in a moment. But before we dive in, I want to turn it over to Jen Tracy, the director of the Office of Recovery Services, to share a few words. Jen?
Okay, great. So again, thanks everyone. We really want to get down to business and hear from the folks on the panel. They really are the reason that we brought you all together and to hear your questions. But very briefly, you know, the Mayor's Office of Recovery is an office that the mayor started in 2015 to be the lead agency to advance the following: creating a recovery strategy across city departments, expanding access to care, forging partnerships like this with local, state, and federal providers, and increasing public awareness and advocacy, reducing the stigma around substance use. We know that employment can play a pivotal role in a person's recovery. Employment not only provides income, but offers a structured activity with a sense of purpose and accomplishment that is so important to moving on to the next phase of our lives. So we're really happy to be here today. Bethany, do you want me to go into some of the initiatives now or wait till questions?
Your call, Jen.
Okay. So one of the, at the City of Boston, our office oversees an array of direct care services focused on serving the needs of people with substance use disorder. If folks are familiar, we have many programs within the continuum, from harm reduction to access to care, where folks can come in daily, receive treatment on demand, and we help folks do that, provide transportation. We also provide overdose prevention training in the Suffolk County House of Corrections, Nashua Street, across the community. So a wide array of services working with folks and trying to get them on the path, whatever that path may be, to recovery. Along with that, our most recent focus in the last, I would say, 3 years, once we opened the office, it was very clear that more work needed to be done around employment supports and housing supports for people in early recovery. And so that really has been a primary focus of some of the new initiatives that we have been working on at the City of Boston. This partnership with the Mayor's Office and Office of Workforce Development and Public Safety has been a partnership that has been growing over the last couple of years as we work more closely with our partners across the city, but also the state. We have everyone on the panel today happens to be involved in both the work of recovery and the work of employment and reentry support. And so I thank all the partners for being part of our initiatives. We have reached out to foundations to help support seed grants in helping people access some of the things that traditionally have been harder when you're trying to get your feet on the ground to access. So money for, it may be, uniforms for a new job, or books for an educational requirement, or even some small term rent to get your feet back on the ground for a few months. And we've done that with our partners, so I won't say too much because I think they'll be talking about some of it. But I will say that the partnership with the Office of Public Safety and with our partners here is key to adding to the continuum of care, which we traditionally have always looked at really as treatment. But we know that to move someone into a stabilizing environment and to get them with their feet back on the ground, they really do need a sense of purpose. And oftentimes that can come from employment. And so targeting and putting out a call to action, which the mayor has done to employers, and some have stepped up, and Marissa is here today to talk about some initiatives of employers stepping up, but really to think about how we can support all of our residents in Boston. And we're here to help everyone do that. So, you know, I'm here to listen. I'm going to keep it short, but thanks, and happy to answer any questions along the way as well.
Thank you so much, Jen. Please don't keep it short. We need all of the resources available, so please lift them up, everyone. We don't have the opportunity to have this conversation enough, so I definitely want to make sure we're seizing the moment. So next, and thank you again, Jen. Next, I want to turn it over to Dr. Rufus J. Falk to talk about Project Opportunity, our partnership with Recovery Services, what brought us here today, and anything you'd like to add.
Thank you, Bethany. And again, thank you to all the panelists and most importantly, the attendees for just being here and being present while we have this real important conversation. So the Mayor's Office of Public Safety, just to give just a brief overview, was created in 2014. And we were charged with really making sure that we were streamlining the coordination for city services and departments that impact areas of violence prevention and community development within our neighborhoods. So that's everything from our Boston Police Department to our SOAR Boston team, which is formerly our street worker program, our neighborhood trauma teams, BPS, and just really making sure that we have a coordinated and strategic, not only protocol, but approach to addressing the sort of the social ills that impact our community. But one of the other things we're tasked with is sort of when we identify gaps in services to be able to work with internal and external partners to make sure that we're closing those gaps. That's where you see programs like Operation Exit or Operation Renew, which I'm sure John is going to touch on, and even opportunities like Project Opportunity to make sure that we are impacting those individuals most vulnerable to some of the systemic issues that have impacted the city of Boston for far too long. So that's where Project Opportunity comes, which was a partnership between Office of Workforce Development, my office, Office of Returning Citizens, and SOAR Boston, and along with one of our most important partners, which is Lawyers Clearing House. I see Crispin in the chat, where we are able to provide free legal services and supports for individuals impacted by CORI who may have their records, be eligible to have their records either sealed or expunged. The idea being that we recognize that a lot of the communities that we serve, we're talking about the Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, and other neighborhoods that are sort of have been sort of adversely impacted by policies like the war on drugs. We recognized that we needed an intentional policy prescription that would help sort of rectify those means. And we recognized that Project Opportunity was one of those ways in which we could do so by removing a barrier to housing and to education and other opportunities that sometimes are sort of created barriers by your criminal record. So that's really where Project Opportunity stems from, a way in which we're trying to be intentional about addressing some policy prescriptions that adversely impact the communities of colors and other communities as well. And this conversation around recovery services and the individuals impacted in dealing and working through recovery recognizes that not only we have individuals impacted by CORI, but also impacted by recovery, that there can be a convergence of barriers. And this is the way in which we can bridge those two worlds and try to remove some obstacles for those individuals. So again, this is just us trying to be strategic, trying to fill gaps where we recognize there are gaps, and most importantly, try to make sure Boston is a city that provides access to all of its citizens. So that's really where we stand and really where we're trying to push this initiative and other initiatives forward. We recognize a lot of that work can't be done without around partnerships and around making sure the citizens believe that we're actually here to support. So that was a rambling answer around Project Opportunity and Office of Public Safety, but that is some of the initiatives and some of our sort of approaches to making sure Boston is as inclusive as possible.
Thank you, Dr. Falk. It was quite comprehensive. We appreciate the context and the background. It's all very important information. And before I go further, I do want to just highlight a question that I received this morning from a partner and another question that's in the Q&A. But first, before I do that, I do want to just highlight, as you mentioned, Dr. Falk, that the cornerstone of Project Opportunity really is around the free CORI sealing and expungement of residents' CORIs. And we do that in partnership with the Lawyers Clearinghouse. There are a number of attorneys who work at big firms and at corporations in the city who have dedicated pro bono hours to volunteering their time to work in our clinics. And we offer them pretty much weekly at this point. Since July, we've offered 11. We've served over 190 residents. I think about 87% of them have been eligible for CORI sealing and expungement. So we're having great impact in relatively short window of time. And you mentioned Crispin Birnbaum. She's the Access to Justice Fellow who has been doing the incredible work of facilitating all of these trainings and CORI clinics through Lawyers Clearinghouse. So special thank you to her. I also want to highlight that Attorney Birnbaum also offers trainings for nonprofit organizations who serve residents impacted by CORI. So she'll offer CORI trainings, and I'll leave it to her to put her information in the chat. Otherwise, I can send that out to everyone in a follow-up email. Definitely worth taking advantage of as we start to shift the narrative around second chance residents. But also related to CORI sealing and expungement, and Crispin will be able to share this better in future trainings that you might host and that Project Opportunity hosts. But a partner asked about the eligibility requirements for sealing, because oftentimes people are released from incarceration and then look to seal their record immediately. And you know, here at Project Opportunity, we want everyone to receive the benefit of knowing not only if they can seal, but when they can seal. So we do encourage folks to take advantage of whether they're recently released or they've been out, or you know their CORI's 10 years old or more or greater. We really want folks to just register using the Project Opportunity webpage. The link, we'll put the flyer with the link embedded in it in the chat, but register and take the time to seek counseling with an attorney, because everybody's CORI it's a subjective sort of case-by-case basis. I can tell you generally the statutory waiting period for sealing and expungement, was specifically for sealing. Felonies should usually be 7 years or older, 3 years for misdemeanors, no new offenses or pending cases, and then you know you would sit with an attorney and determine whether or not you're eligible for sealing, and the attorneys will represent you, whether it's by motion or assist you with the application to the Board of Probation for sealing or expungement. So definitely take advantage of Project Opportunity's free CORI sealing and expungement. It's the first really in any municipality of its kind. And so I'm so thankful again for the mayor for the charge to really roll this out. And the interim, if you are looking for employment, which courier can be a barrier to for many, I see a question in the chat about, you know, why do employers go have a potential candidate go through the hiring process and then reject them because of their CORI. This person says that they believe that before having someone go through the hiring process, first do a background check. We want to let you know that that's illegal via ban the box law. You can't ask about an applicant's CORI on the application. It's something that usually you would have to go through the hiring process first, and then they would do a background check. And then there are a number of rights and remedies in the event that you are asked about your CORI in violation of the ban the box law, and you have rights around asking or you know, saying, you know, stating your case about, you know, your CORI. And I'll defer to Crispin on that, but definitely come through our CORI training. I'm sorry, both the training and Project Opportunities CORI sealing clinic. But if you do have a CORI and you want a job, the Mayor's Office of Workforce Development, in partnership with Public Safety, SOAR Boston, Returning Citizens, as well as Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, Mass Hire Downtown, we are now offering, starting next Tuesday on the 6th, a CORI-friendly job fair and job readiness program. It's going to be every Tuesday in October. We'll make sure we plug the flyer in as well. So enough of me. I really want us to jump right in and hear about the resources and opportunities available from our partnering organizations. So I am going to start posing a question for our panelists.
Bethany, I don't think everyone introduced themselves. Did they?
Okay. Did anyone not? I think, did we have?
Oh, Carla? Okay, I missed that. Okay, sorry.
Did we get everyone? No worries. Thanks, Jen. And if you guys wouldn't mind, I know that people were joining as we were doing introductions and people joined a bit late. Right before you dive into your answer, if you could just reintroduce yourselves, I think that would be really helpful. Thanks for that point, Jen. So the first question I have for everyone, all panelists, is can you please discuss some of the workforce opportunities and resources that your organization provides to support residents impacted by CORI and as part of the recovery community? And actually, Jen, we'll start with recovery services, then we'll go to returning citizens, Sheriff's Department, Newmarket, and then the Gavin House.
Okay, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. No problem. Can you discuss some of the workforce opportunities and resources that your organization provides to support residents impacted by CORI and, in your case, as part of the recovery community?
Sure. You know, I'm actually going to, if it's okay, I'm going to yield to the partners that the City of Boston, the community partners that we have partnered with to do some of this work. So I'm going to pass that over to John McGann. John, your voice audio was not working well before, so if you, we'll let you know if it's working. But we have 2 partnerships currently with the Gavin Foundation. And so let's, give John
Can
the
you hear me
opportunity.
now?
I'm happy to add in. Yes.
Yes. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. One of the projects that we want to talk about in partnership with the City of Boston is Project Renew.
Your audio is breaking up.
All right. Do you want to pass to somebody else, or let somebody come and try to see what's going on with my audio?
That works perfectly. I'm not sure if it's your position.
Wow. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm not moving. I wonder if it's just my connection. So again, I apologize. So Project Renew is a project that we do with the City of Boston in collaboration with federal probation. And it's a project where we have folks who are returning citizens that come to us. They have CORI and employment issues, a lack of history. So what we do is we work with them, and they do multiple things. One of the community partners they work with is Phoenix Multisport, where they go and do wellness, so physical health, wellness, nutrition training with Phoenix Multisport. They do therapy sessions, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, to make sure that they have the supports and the education ongoing to be successful in the community. They also work with various departments across the city to make sure that they have the workforce training that they need. How do they access the internet? Do they have the computer skills? That will also help them in 10 certificates so that they have that for jobs that may require that. In addition to that, they work with our maintenance and housekeeping departments to make sure that they've learned how to do basic things like painting, landscaping, minor repairs. Really, that is working with them on a daily. Can you hear me?
Sorry to interrupt. I think if you cut your video, turn the video off, that's been suggested.
Okay. Is that any better? Okay. So I apologize for the connection. I don't know what it is. Can you hear me now, Jim?
No. Do you want me to
Why
take
don't
it
I
from
leave and try to come back in, and you can kick it off to somebody else? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I can just try to summarize sort of what you were about our project, Operation Exit Renew, which John was talking about, is a pilot program that helps people re-entering from long-term incarceration access meaningful employment and professional development opportunities. So the initiative is with partners at the Federal Probation, Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, and the city Boston's that you have here today. And really the goal is working on really around social justice and giving folks an opportunity that are coming back to the city after long-term long-term stays with support from their probation team and from all of the sort of bureaucratic partners in their life, but really giving them an opportunity to have some, at first, for the first 6 months, it's job opportunities and supports like supervised job opportunities and supports that John was talking about, which, include everything from, a focus on health and wellness and routine. And Gavin Foundation has multiple sites across the city and in other cities. So, they have a variety of opportunity available to offer, landscaping or building maintenance or other opportunities. And so the folks are worked with for about 6 months while the rest of us work really hard on trying to find permanent employment for them. And it's been a very successful initiative with the cohort so far. And obviously the most challenging piece is our commitment to them around long-term employment. But we draw from anything and everywhere we can. We've accessed opportunities at the city level with different departments and private organizations. And Marissa, great opportunity for you to kind of pipe in as well, since our partnership with your organization has been really helpful for these individuals.
Sure. Our New Market Jobs Initiative is a program of the New Market Business Association in partnership with the Lewis Family Foundation. And our mission is to connect good paying job opportunities in the New Market Industrial District of Roxbury and the surrounding neighborhoods with local job seekers who are referred to us from our network of 50 community-based partner organizations, many of which explicitly serve recovery and reentry communities. Many, I'm sure, are here either on the panel or listening to our presentation today. The Gavin Foundation obviously is one. The Office of Workforce Development is a good partner, Office of Recovery Services and many of their programs, the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, Coolidge House, Casa Esperanza, Pine Street Inn, Roca, SOAR Boston, the Mass Higher Career Center, St. Francis House, many partners. We have, as I said, a network of 50 community partners, and we also count on a network of 63 employer partners. And just many of the benefits that we have built into the way our program is designed specifically help recovery and reentry populations to be successful from the job search process to placement and even through the after placement through their employment. First, the fact that we are a small boutique service and we provide, as we call it, the white glove treatment to support job seekers and our community partner organizations from registration through employment. So part of our communication and our partnerships being focused on those close partnerships. So the communication from the registration, knowing every single one of our job seekers coming from a partner allows us to make really strong matches, helps us to facilitate the process so that every job seeker has support finding the right employment, the right placement has facilitation, making sure that their resume is strong and is seen by the employer partner, the HR department, whatever it may be, but making sure that that is facilitated, that they have priority, that they're going to be seen, and that we expect a high level communication also from our employers, so that when somebody is placed, that we're hearing from the employer to know how is somebody doing. If something comes up after somebody's placed on a job, we're able to communicate it back to our partners, so that not only does the employee feel supported and know that somebody's looking out for them, but they're also getting support from the people that they know best, that they feel most comfortable with, so that if there is a challenge, they're getting that holistic, that wraparound service. And the people that have always supported them are there to continue to support them, to ensure that they're being successful. And that is stated in our agreement in working with our employers from the start. So our employers know it's not just about their relationship with their new employee, but it's their relationship also with the New Market Jobs Initiative. And it's about our relationship also with our sending agency. So everybody's in it. It's sort of a 360 success plan for the employees and for the employer also, because everybody's invested in the success of this placement. And finally, I think the last piece is that we offer a wide variety of jobs. We try to offer the best possible wages. We don't offer, none of our opportunities are minimum wage. We really push our employers to think about what is the best possible wage that you can offer for all of our opportunities, which obviously is an important piece for reentry populations and recovery populations, so that our jobs are sustainable and they allow people from the community to remain living in the community and have sustainable work to provide for themselves and their families. And we offer many opportunities in a variety of fields and careers that are CORI friendly. And we offer transparency about all of that information right from the start, from the job posting. Job seekers know what is going to be the wage for this job, or at least a ballpark starting figure, and whether or not the job is CORI friendly. So I know I saw a question in the Q&A about job seekers getting to the point of like a final interview, and then finding out, oh, I can't hire you because you have a CORI, and then that being a disappointment. So on our job platform, we let job seekers know right from the start whether or not they're going to be eligible for a job from the job posting. So there won't be that surprise or that disappointment after they've gone through the process of applying and going through interviews and all that, and then finding out, oh no, we can't hire you because of your CORI background. So all of those things, all of those conversations that we set up with the employers ahead of time are really designed to ensure the success of our matches.
Thank you so much, Marisa,
Sure.
for that presentation and for answering questions in the chat. I also want to highlight that I failed to mention that Marisa and New Market is a partner in our virtual CORI-friendly job fair and job readiness program. Also, special shout out to Mass Hire Downtown and Mass Hire Holyoke, Mass Hire Holyoke's reentry program, which are also partners and online. So if you guys want to chat with them, feel free. And if Mass Hire, if you don't mind putting your information in the chat for job seekers, that would be great. I want to keep in line with the question here and turn it back over to the Office of Returning Citizens to talk about the city's resources for those who are in recovery and impacted by CORI. Kevin, are you?
I'm with you, Bethany. Thank you very much. And again, I'd like to thank the audience that's here, our partners, our soon-to-be partners. We greatly appreciate you. The Office of Returning Citizen was created in 2017, October 2017. So we're approaching our 3-year anniversary. In that time, we've serviced over 900 individuals that's come through. And we assist in 4 very specific areas. We assist in transitional housing, employment, education, and health. And we've noticed that over these 3 short years that a lot of times all 4 of those areas impact the other. As we provide assistance in those 4 areas, the ROC also provides assistance with an advocacy in a legislative way, looking at changing the laws of Suffolk County birth certificate office, no release to prisoners from prison to shelters, and we have a upcoming debate of certification of rehabilitation that will help individuals who've been impacted by a CORI to actually qualify for their mastery in areas that they may be looking to go into. We provide the cross-departmental communication as well with Office of Recovery Services, in Workforce Development, and many other offices that are within the city of Boston. We provide assistance with transitional housing. I think some of our partners online, like Michael Colello and Jill Forbes from Probation and Parole, with individuals who need housing assistance as they transition from prison. Many times we have to understand that if you don't have a address, it's very difficult to get employment. And as we move forward with employment, we look at our partners. We have an amazing partnership right now with Tufts University, led by Hillary Bender. It's called My Turn. And we have, I believe there's 8 students registered in this class that are obtaining college credits to learn about financial management history. And those credits are transferable to Tufts universities. We also know that a strong educational background can help one to land themselves in a good employment environment. We have partners such as Partakers and PD Green and tutoring. And we realize that as we interact with our caseload of individuals, reentry is a lifelong journey. It's not just a one-stop shop. ORC is here for you if you come one time or you come 10, because sometimes we just need advice. Sometimes we have situations that we just need someone to talk to without being judged on it. And that's how we help individuals move through the employment paradigm, as we call it, because what we're facing is people are not the same as they were when they got their CORI. We realize that. I have a scenario real briefly that a gentleman came in and discussed the fact that he had gotten a job and was let go, not necessarily because of his CORI, but because of his credit. So as a point of information for our audience, to make sure that the obstacles that exist can't be as convoluted as saying, oh, well, your credit's low, so that's why we let you go, instead of saying your CORI. So we want to make sure that as we present our opportunities, as we work with Marissa, as we work with mass hires, we work with other individuals in employment, getting people ready for that employment, we cover all the areas. Make sure that their housing is close enough to their employment and that they have transportation to get to their jobs and they'll be successful. Making sure that they have someone to talk to should they have issues on the job and that they need an ear to listen to. Our team does all of that and provides those type of services for individuals who've been impacted by CORI. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to any questions that the panelists or our partners have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I want to turn it over to Carla Acevedo from the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, who you mentioned you work closely with Kevin. And I know, Carla, you're doing some great work as folks are being released from incarceration and reentering the workforce. If you wouldn't mind sharing a bit about that, that'd be great. Carla?
Definitely, thank you. Again, Carla Acevedo, I'm the Director of Reintegration for the Suffolk County Sheriff's Department. I've been there for about 2.5 years now, and really grateful that I'm able to serve under a Sheriff Steve Tompkins, that really allows us to be innovative and creative and really believes in rehabilitation from behind the wall. So I'm gonna share a little bit about what we do behind the wall to prepare individuals for the workforce and those that are in recovery. So individuals in behind the wall are able to get themselves into workshops that will help them with building a resume, to interviewing skills, to knowing how to talk about their CORI, right? Really building people's self-esteem and confidence, and knowing how to answer questions from employers that may arise when they are interviewing. So they get the opportunity to those workshops are available for them if they're interested in taking them. We also have our Common Ground Institute, which is a 10-week program for those interested in the trades. So they're learning building maintenance and carpentry. They're getting their SurfSafe, as well as an OSHA 30 certification. And then that crew, we usually have 7 to 8 cycles of our Common Ground Institute, and they get an opportunity to actually go outside as well and do projects throughout the community to build their resume and also to give back to the community as well. And they get those certifications that serve them while they're on the outside. The other things we do is we build relationship with employers for those that are ready once they leave incarceration to get into a job right away. So, you know, Marissa and Kevin and others on this call are great partners of us that we can reach out to and say, hey, we have this individual, they have these type of skills, you know, what opportunities are available to them. We also invite employment agencies behind the wall. So we work with agencies such as Dorchester Bay, Work Inc., Mass Hire, NECAT, as well as Project Place and Community Work Services. These are all organizations that do workforce development, but that also provide case management and are able to help individuals that might be, that want work, but may not be necessarily ready to go into the workforce right away, or may need some case management to help them with other re-entry needs. And so we expose individuals behind the wall as much as possible to these partners so that we can build bridges and have warm handoffs to these kind of employers and employment agencies. You know, we've learned that if we are able to bring people behind the wall, inmates are able to build relationship with these partners, and they're more likely to show up once they leave. And that's extremely important because it's not just like, you know, a cold call or, you know, showing up and you don't know who you're going to expect. Inmates would have already met those individuals from behind the wall. And for us, that's also really important because not only is it helping individuals understand that they matter and that they do deserve a second chance and that these agencies are able and willing to come behind the wall, but it also lets employers know and these employment agencies that these are individuals that deserve a second chance, and it helps to humanize the individuals behind the wall, which is extremely, extremely important. I often tell my team, you know, we're not just in the business of connecting people to resources and to employers, we're also in the business of helping to lift spirits and helping people believe in themselves again. Because, you know, I truly believe that it doesn't matter how many opportunities we throw at people, if they don't believe that it's that they matter, that they deserve a second chance, that they deserve forgiveness for, you know, whatever harm they have done, it doesn't matter, they won't take it because they don't believe in themselves. And so really doing that work with individuals is also really important and something, you know, we try to keep in mind as much as possible as we're working with individuals as well. One of the things we did last year with the Mayor's Office of Returning Citizen, Mass Hire, and the DA's office, we did our first ever CORI-friendly job fair, which was very successful. We had over 170 individuals that attended with over 40 employment agencies and employers that came, and that was, you know, our first attempt at doing things beyond the wall and making sure that we are creating those pipelines to opportunities for folks. We also invite temp agencies as well behind the wall. And this is really important because you have individuals that will have, you know, immediate needs with, you know, whether it's housing or whether they need to pay for their bracelet or, you know, just being able to maintain themselves that need a job right away. So we partner with these employment agencies as well. Because for us, it's also really important that we meet people where they're at. There are some people who, as soon as they leave, they're like, I have a job already, I'm good. There are other people who are like, well, like, I want a job, but I may need some training. I may need some additional support. So we have folks that help them with that. Or other folks who are like, you know what, I need a job like tomorrow because I need to take care of myself in these areas. And so really meeting people where they're at is really important. One of the things that we are also gearing up for is a panel of for folks that represent the trades, because, you know, the trades are a more CORI-friendly employment partner, and so we want to be able to bring folks that are from the electricians and that are carpenters and others behind the wall, so that they can hear from people who are in the trades, how to demystify some of the barriers, and also be able to apply from behind the wall if that is something that they want to do, and have enough time by the time they get out and when the application starts as well. Lastly, I also want to mention our partnership with the Mayor's Office of Recovery Services. We do a monthly discharge and recovery panel where we invite organizations behind the wall to talk to individuals who are 90 days or less to release, so that they can begin to build these relationships and learn about the different resources that are available to them. And so that's everything from housing to employment to any mass health needs that they may have, or also services for their families. Because one of the things behind the wall is that we've started to work with the families of those impacted by incarceration who are with us through our Family Matters program. And so the work that we do is crucial, but it's also, it's not possible if we didn't have all the partners that are in this panel and those that are listening and many more who make it possible for us to extend these different opportunities. And so it's, you know, for me, it's a real privilege to be in this position, and again, work under a sheriff that allows us to be creative about how we help individuals. And so those are some of the resources that we have available, and we're always looking for more. So if any of you out there are interested in partnering with us, or have resources or employers that, you know, we can benefit from, please let us know. You know, if someone can pass the background, we will let them, you know, behind the wall and allow them to speak to individuals about the resources that they have that are available. So please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla, for sharing. Continue doing such great work, and we're so excited to partner with you here at the city. And at plug again for our virtual CORI friendly job fair and job readiness program that starts October 6th and will run all 4 weeks with a grand finale with an actual employment resource fair hosted virtually in partnership with Mass Hire, Newmarket, Suffolk County Sheriff's Department, Project Opportunity. So we're so excited about that. I believe Susan Bucky put a link to the registration in the chat, and we'll also send that out again. I just want to mention, I see so many questions coming through, and they're all really great questions. We will try to get to as many as we can. For panelists, if you happen to see some of the questions in the chat or the Q&A that you think you can answer while we're sort of going on with the program. I know it's hard to multitask, answer questions, think of answers, and type answers in the chat. But if we can, where we can, I'd love to see how many, I'd love to see us get to as many questions as possible.
Just address one that I saw in regards to IDs and social security cards and birth certificates. So currently behind the wall, we're actually able to get birth certificates for individuals that are interested, and we do that really early on. So as soon as someone is in our new man unit, which everyone goes through that when they first get there, we ask the question, do you need a birth certificate? And we're able to get it to them within the first month. In terms of social security cards, right now we are not able to get them. We're in the process of trying to reach out to the Social Security Administration to try to see how we can do that. But unfortunately right now we can't. And in terms of IDs, so before we were able to get them behind the wall, and then due to the extra requirement from the RMV, we are no longer able to get them. And so we, for that, rely on our partners such as Kevin Sibley from the Mayor's Office of Returning Citizens to help with getting folks those birth certificates, the social security cards and the IDs once people leave as well. And we also, like Kevin, we are able to partner with organizations that will provide individuals with the $25 for like an ID, for example. And so what we can do, we partner in order to get inmates with the resources for the inmates for that.
And I'd like to follow up with my sister Carla there. We had a conversation earlier today with the DOC, and they inform us that individuals are eligible to apply for birth certificates, identifications, prior to release. So up to 6 months prior to release from the DOC, individuals can get this information or these documents. They just have to ask for them. They have to request from their reentry coordinator on the DOC side. So that's information for everyone to take forward.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Carla. I want to not move on entirely, but I really do want to just cover something that I think is very important as part of this conversation, especially around equity and looking at many of these issues through an equity lens. So we're so honored to have a trainer and consultant and a gentleman with lived experience on today, Hannah Hernandez. And so I'm going to pose a question for Hannah, and then if a few of you guys want to chime in, feel free. But Hannah, if you could just address this question. In your work as a consultant and trainer and as a person with lived experience, can you highlight some of the unique workforce challenges and solutions that specifically affect people in recovery and impacted by CORI from an equity lens? Hannah?
Let me unmute myself. Thank you for the question, Bethany. And thank you to all of the panelists for your hard work and everything that you're doing. And Jen Tracy for the invitation to be here. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, but I was at another webinar that went a little bit long with SAMHSA and the federal folks. At any rate, my name is Hannah Hernandez, and I'm a person in long-term recovery. What that means for me is that I haven't used a drug, including alcohol, for the last 33 and a half years. What that has enabled me to do is to be a productive member of my family, my community, and to do this type of work. And so in some circles, I'm called Dr. Hernandez because I have a PhD, but I want you to know that I also have a GED, and my GED I got in prison. And it was more difficult to get that GED in prison than to get a PhD out here. I run a program that is funded by the Bureau of Substance Addiction Services to train Latino folks who want to become certified or licensed drug and alcohol counselors in the Commonwealth. And we have 2 training sites, one in Western Mass in Springfield and one in Boston. As a matter of fact, we just started with a new cadre in each, and it's all going to happen virtually this year because of COVID. In terms of the question about the equity lens and people struggling with COVID, I just want to couch it in this. Anywhere from 40 to 50% of the people that we accept into the program are also people in recovery. Our motto is that we have 100% of the instructors are master's level Latino folks, and then 100% of the people in the class are also Latino folks. So we're bilingual, we go back and forth, we understand the cultural context, that sort of thing. In an important way. I must say this, we replicated the program with, for, and by African Americans. So my colleague Della Blake is in charge of that program, the same model, curriculum that offers 300 hours of in-classroom training to folk. And it's delivered by master's level African American folks for African American Black folks in the Commonwealth, with 2 sites as well, one in the Boston area and one in the Springfield area. And so we developed those programs with an understanding that there's a disparity in the workforce. There's at the federal level, there are reports, as well as here in Massachusetts, that we have a workforce crisis going on in behavioral health, particularly mental health and substance use disorder services. And it goes a little bit like this. The majority of the people working in the field are white baby boomers, soon to retire. The people walking through the door or in need of services are younger and more diverse. And so we need a more diverse workforce. Our program was designed to address that specific disparity within the workforce, right? And so we take that seriously in terms of what we do. About 40% of the people in our class, 40 to 50% are people in recovery. And of those, for us, 100% have a CORI, 100%. Because of disproportionate impacts with mass incarceration and the like. And so, we are responsible for bringing people in. I believe in being a gatekeeper that facilitates the process of people coming in, as opposed to gatekeepers in many institutions that help keep people out and say, no, you can't. This is going to be very difficult, or you're not prepared to do this, that sort of thing. We know that people need supports and guidance, but we have worked with people to help them become certified or licensed in the state. Fortunately, in our state, the licensing requirements to become licensed in the state, done by the Massachusetts Department of Public Health, the Bureau of Substance Addiction Services, and the requirements by the certification board, who does everything certification, do not, we ask questions about CORI, but we allow for space for people to explain their CORI, and if need be, to become evaluated, right? That sort of thing. But it's not a piece that is going to hinder people becoming certified or licensed. And so we fought for that, and we have that. By the way, I also serve as the president of the board of directors of the certification board in Massachusetts. So I come at it from that hat as well. And so we've seen, you know, our folk, when I say our folk, I mean Latino and African-American folk, go through the program, become certified and or licensed, and gain meaningful employment. And the other component that we have in our program is that we place people in internships across the state, right? Because people need help with entering into a job placement. So we do that. And I think that is extremely important because it provides an entry level into a space or place that might not want them through the interview process, but we can vouch for them and say, listen, they're in our training program. And because organizations know who we are, then they allow people to get in. And then some of those people, many of them, get hired by that organization because it's easier to hire someone who was doing an internship, right? Because now you know their habits and that sort of thing. We need to do a lot of work with them about what it looks like to be a professional in terms of how you talk, how you express yourself, how you dress, you know, from very basic stuff that other people might not be thinking of. We have to think about those things with our folk in terms of getting them in and then providing the support. I know that that was the question, but I want to talk about something that I think is important for all of us to think of, because I've been doing a lot of that work. And I think it's important to think of. We know mass incarceration is real. We know that there's disproportionate impact, you know, for men between the ages of 24 and 28. I hate to bother you with numbers, but they're real. These are human beings that live in our Commonwealth as well. For men, per 100,000, for men between the ages of 24 and 28 in the US, and these are males, right, per 100,000. For whites, it's about 1,350 something per 100,000. For Latinos or Hispanics, it's 3,500, thereabouts, 3,500. That number skyrockets for African Americans or Blacks in this country to upwards of 9,500. Almost 10,000. That has implications for what we're talking about, what we do. And I want to bring you behind the wall for a quick second and talk to you about what does that look like for people psychologically, physically, and that sort of thing. Because we have prisons within prisons in this country and in the US. We have people in solitary confinement 1 year, 6 months, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. That means no contact with other folk, unless they're guards. And if we know anything about that system, guards don't want to talk to inmates, and inmates definitely don't want to talk to guards. So imagine what that looks like. We live in New England. You spend a weekend in a snowstorm and we go crazy, right? Now imagine, and those of us, right, with internet, computers, TVs, resources, food, a fridge, family, friends, phone, all of that. Now imagine experiencing that. 100% of our people within that system have experienced traumatization. And those of us who work in this field, we need to pay attention to that, because you can get someone a job and you can help people get a job and they'll lose their job because of their experience with trauma. And I know that John McGann and others know what I'm talking about because they deal with that at Gavin Foundation and through the programming. And we need to do a better job of getting programs that provide addiction services to understand the role of trauma and to understand the role of disparities. And how do we help people with that? Listen, my nephew did 15 years for killing a guy in the 90s, and he was 17. He did 5 years in solitary confinement. He gets out, we helped him get a job. He was with his fiance, they bought a house, you know, everything running smoothly. His fiance calls me and says, honey, I need to talk to you. I said, about who? She said, about him. He's not here, but I don't want him to know. And I asked her, what's going on? She says, nope, I need to see you in person because I need to show you. A lot of red flags went up for me, right? I was in Texas at the time doing some work. I remember if it was today. I came in, I called her, she says, come in. And I was nervous because I said, what am I going to see? Drugs, a gun, a weapon? What am I going to have to dispose of, right? So I was nervous about that. But when she brought me into the bedroom, big master bedroom, she said, look at where we sleep. He put the bed against the wall, the dressers against the wall, and she told me he sleeps with his back against the wall for about 2 hours straight. He gets up and sweats and he's yelling and all of that stuff. He gets up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning doing push-ups and pull-ups and all that stuff. We can't go to restaurants because he can't deal with lighting and a lot of people around him. He is traumatized. She didn't say it this way, but he is experiencing what? PTSD. And if we don't deal with those issues with our folk, we're going to continue to chase our tails, right? And I deal with folks in that situation all the time. It's called the institutionalization of our folk. And I understand why people repeat offense and go back, because behind the wall, you have a name. Even though you're treated as a number, you have a name, you have a reputation, you have when to get up, when to go to sleep, when to eat, when you shower, and you have all of that stuff that makes you feel safe. Believe it or not, in that inhumane space, people feel safe. And so we have a responsibility to understand that, and that goes directly to the issue of disparities, to the issue of equity, and how we deal with folks. And I think we need to do that. We train on that in our training program so that people understand that, and people understand what's happening with them. I got my nephew the help that he needed, and he's better, he's okay. But imagine what that looks like for people, right? For countless of people, regardless of race, right? Because that place is an inhumane space that has a lot of poor people within it. And so I think that our conversation needs to be brought into the impact of this criminal injustice system that has run amok for years. And we're having this conversation about Black Lives Matter, and I think it's about time. And I think it's about time that we think about what are the policies and procedures that we put into place and that we hold ourselves accountable to, so that we make sure that our people are getting what they need. And so again, you know, I have an extensive CORI, but that has never gotten in my way of getting a job. But I know thousands of people where that is the case. And, you know, for many of our folk, it's easy to revert back to old behaviors. You know, when you're being pushed away, pushed away, pushed away, pushed away. I know how to sell drugs. I know how to steal. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. It's very easy when a system is in front of you and you feel like you can't breathe, right? And I think that that's the experience of many of our folks. I don't want to minimize that I haven't spoken about females. You know, they're not the majority of people who go to prison in this country. It's actually males. But prison for females also produces the same type of post-traumatic stress disorder that it produces with males. And if you've ever read any of the research on females in prison, the research a couple of years ago, you might look back at NPR did a really good series about women incarcerated in the US, and the fact that they're even more aggressive than men. And when they come out, because of their experience, again, with trauma, with sexual abuse and those sorts of things, domestic violence, we need to pay attention to what that looks like for our folks. If we can support people in that way, in a better way, and to help them deal with these issues on a clinical level, because these are clinical issues. The work that John McGann and others do, these are clinical issues. These are not issues that are just going to go away with giving someone employment or helping people to get employment. That is a good piece, but we need to go deeper. And our organizations need the capacity, the knowledge, and the staff who are able to do that. If you haven't noticed, I'm long-winded. I talk a lot, but I thought I would get those pieces in as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hernandez, for sharing. Really appreciate your insight and the context and everything that you shared. I'm sure has certainly, I mean, I see panelists, attendees, you know, thanking you for all that you've shared. So thank you, Dr. Hernandez. I'd like to pose that same question for the panelists, if anyone wants to chime in. You know, really just to highlight some of the unique workforce challenges and solutions that affect people who are in recovery and impacted by CORI.
Bethany, I just want to say, you know, real quick, one of the most important pieces of case management, I'll continue to say that because we have situations where I was reading something in the chat about when people fall off or when they something happens to them and they're no longer on the trajectory that we put them on. We have to be open to accepting them back as they were and continue to help them. There's no one-stop shop. And we have to make sure that our organizations understand that we don't throw anybody away. We continue to work and help them. We connect them with great organizations like the Office of Recovery Services, like John's Shop. We continue to work around them. And most importantly, we gain the trust of the individuals, because we have folks that don't come back to our organizations because they feel ashamed or they feel like they couldn't make a mistake and they're letting our organizations down. When in fact, it is us that has to reach out to them to make sure that we continue to help them along. So thank you.
This is John McGann. Can you hear me any better at this point?
We can hear you, John. Thanks for jumping back in.
Yeah, thank you. So one of the programs that I'd like to just briefly put out there is the Access to Recovery, which is for people that are involved in drug court, coming out of substance abuse issues. And there's two components. One is through it's called the Power to Employment, where it's a 3-week training program, and it's really about job readiness and touches on some of the things that Hania spoke about making sure that you're up on time, that you're dressed on time, all of those things that we take for granted that some people need help and make sure that they continue to do day after day. But in addition to those basic skills, then people can refer on a whole host of training programs, such as St. Francis House MAP program, Project Place, ECAT Testing Kitchen, Community Servings, the YMCA, Building Pathways, a whole host of programs where they can get job training. But another component of that is the access to CORI to go on with it. So I mentioned, people have services, and that's fine, and they need them. But typically, that's something that somebody would go to a clinician once a week or on a periodic basis. But a recovery coach is somebody that they can be in touch with at any time and get ongoing support and encouragement. In addition, that program, those people have assigned coordinators where if any of the training programs are having problems with somebody that they're struggling staying with a course, they can be referred back and get the extra support they need to be successful. So it's not like you screwed up, you're out of the program. It's how do we increase the services? So that's something that I would suggest people take a look at, the ATR program and the importance of what a recovery coach can do for these folks. Thank you.
If I can add to that, so yesterday I was actually having a conversation with our sheriff and some of our 18 to 24-year-olds behind the wall, and we were asking them about some of the challenges that they face when it comes to employment and it comes to their reentry needs. And in our facility, even though people can be there up to 2.5 years, on average, our women are staying 4 to 6 months, men are staying 6 to 8 months, right? So it's a very short window that we are able to work with them. And the young men, one of the things that kept coming up and they were saying is that, we get here and we're going back to the same environment that brought us here to begin with, and how challenging it is, specifically around having the peer pressure to go back to that same block, to the same friends, to the same set of circumstances that brought them in to begin with, and how, housing obviously is a challenge in Boston in general, but let alone someone who is trying to change their life and would want to move to another state or to another area outside of Boston and not being able to find the resources. And so as we're thinking about connecting people to employment and these other resources, thinking about the environment that they're going back to and how, how crucial it is to help them get mentors, help them, expose them to other people who are going to show them different. Because if all you know is one thing, how can we expect people to do something different, especially if they're going back to that environment? So, just something for us to keep in mind as we are helping individuals, especially for us where, as soon as people leave our facility, they're encountered with people who are also in recovery recovery, who are, are trying to live day by day, trying to do the right things, but are caught up in that lifestyle. And, it's just really, really challenging. So just, again, thinking about environment and what we can do to help our clients with that.
Thank you, Carla, John, Kevin. Anyone else like to jump in?
I would just add quickly, some of the lessons learned from a couple of the projects that we talked about, Opportunity Renew, which is the program working with federal probation and individuals that have been long time, 10, 15, 20 years behind the walls, coming back to communities. And that's the program that John's organization helps us support, has really been those first 6 months of working with those individuals. We've put a lot of, it takes time and resources, and these aren't, not necessarily high numbers of impact, but they're meaningful if you can take the time and put the resources into it. And to Haner's point, like digital training, internet, social media, just not forget computer training, but even every application that individuals need to apply nowadays is probably online. Navigating online access and applications can be really challenging for a lot of folks. Hey, come on over. We're in a panel. Berto Sanchez, who works with us behind the walls as well. Say hello.
Hi, how you guys doing? Hello.
So really providing the resources and the supervision and the support. You heard John talk about wellness, about getting the guys working out with the Phoenix, which is a gym and works on wellness. Really has been really impactful to, I think, keeping folks engaged and moving forward. So I just, I guess we didn't expect in the beginning to spend as much time connecting, sitting down with guys, kind of going through some of the digital stuff, but it's part of the program now. The, sort of the mental health support is part of the program, the physical support is part of the program, and the supervision for the first 6 months on whatever the job is in John's organization is, working with the guys every day on, how are you getting here? Let's help figure that out. How are you showing up? What does this interaction look like with your supervisor? When you have frustrations, there's a lot of needs at home. You're coming back, sometimes to a family, to kids that have been, that you haven't grown up with you. And so there's a lot, as we all know, I think here on this panel, it's kind of preaching to the choir here, but we all know that there's a lot of support and resources that folks need. And it's not this is not a quick fix.
I'd like to say something about the workforce crisis that I mentioned earlier, and that is, the people who are in recovery and coming out of these systems and coming off the street, that sort of thing, you always hear them say, I want to give back, I want to give back. That's sort of a mantra that people learn, right? And to me, that is an opportunity to help people come into a field, because when I ask them, a good portion of them, not all, they want to work with people who have experience incarceration. They want to work with people with substance use disorders. Many of them want to do that, right? John and others take advantage of that by way of providing opportunities for employment. And, there's a lot that we can learn from that, and there's a lot that we can do from that in addressing issues of disparities and the workforce crisis, but we have to think critically about what do workforce opportunity and work ladders look like for these folks, providing all of the supports that they can. And I can tell you that some of the people who are most committed to this work is because of their lived experience. Not, I'm not degrading, folks without lived experience, but they come at it from a very personal place, right? And it's an opportunity that we have to bring people into this process, right? And to teach them, because many of them, like when I started, someone hired me as an outreach worker in Boston. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. They believed in me more than what I believed in myself. That's unconditional positive regard, right? And so we need to believe in people's capacity to be able to do that. More importantly, how do we structure programs that allow people to come in, learn what they need to learn, and ease into doing that work, right? There was someone here in the chat that just said, listen, I just got out, did 30 years. I'm at the university right now. I need support with rent, right? The social determinants of health that Carla was talking about, right? The conditions on the ground for community. If we can do those things, people will have success in whatever it is that they're doing, vocational, academic, what have you, and they will produce, I think. But I think we have a real opportunity for people who are in recovery, early recovery, with a criminal offender record to work in this field.
Panir, if I could just piggyback on that, to your point, through our Project Renew and getting somebody started, we were able to have them, you could tell that they really wanted to give back and help out. We were able to get him to become a certified recovery coach and then have him work in one of our federal projects, which is the EPPO, which is Expanding Peer-to-Peer Opportunities, that runs out of the Divine Recovery Center. And at Gavin, we consider one of our biggest assets is our recovery capital. That's the people that have been through, that do the work, that are doing it for the right reason, and to represent the agency and work with our people, and I have an expression that you can BS the fans, but not the players. And when you bring people back in that have been part of the system, they can really connect and engage people. And I get to see that every day. So some of these things that we're all working on together and doing together, it's a wonderful thing to see the fruit of their labor pay off for them. So I'm just want to make sure that people know that here at the Divine Recovery Center, there's some opportunities for people to participate and to get that sense of feeling and belonging.
Thank you all for such great answers, very thoughtful. Really appreciate everyone for jumping in. As everyone's heard, there's so many resources available for residents impacted both by CORI and as part of the recovery community. And I'm so glad that we were able to really lift them up in this conversation. Thank you everyone for listening. I know we've seen your questions coming through. We will try to get to everyone, if not in the chat, definitely separately. For the providers who are listening, including links to your resources. Thank you so much. Definitely, again, want to be mindful of everyone's time. So if all panelists and anyone who's attending that wants to really lift up your services, if you could just put your information, your contact information in the chat, that would be really helpful. Again, we'll provide all of the mayor's offices involved with Project Opportunity, as well as the Office of Recovery Services in the chat as well, just to sort of systematize the questions and any necessary referrals that may come about. I do want to see if we can get to a few questions before we head off. I thought this was a great question and comment from one of our attendees, and you may have answered it, Marisa. Do the amazing partners on this panel envision an opportunity to work with employer partners who provide trauma-informed care, cultural supervision? Basically this lends to the stabilization in services and ongoing lifelong support that may be needed for people and employees, and it's good for businesses. An example or two would be the Starbucks mental health first aid approach and training for staff to support customers. Does anybody want to touch on that?
I'll take that. That would be a dream. I think it's a phenomenal concept. I absolutely believe that we have businesses who would like the opportunity, who would jump at the opportunity to earn such a certification and support their employees with that kind of knowledge and preparation and training. As I said at the beginning, we have a number of employees who are eager to employ populations with CORIs, who are eager to support the community with different barriers to traditional barriers to employment. So I think being able to equip them with the knowledge and training to better support their employees, because at the end of the day, the success of their employees is the success of their business. Nobody's hiring somebody to not be successful on their team. So I think that that concept is something that I would love to explore and look into, especially for our New Market Industrial District and our New Market Business Association is something that we could offer as a benefit to our employers. And I think that it's something that we could be a model here in Boston as leading, and for all of our recovery populations and our CORI employees to offer to businesses. And I think it's a fantastic idea. So Susan, thank you for posing that question. And I will definitely look into that and see what I can do in terms of promoting that with our employers.
Thank you so much, Marisa. I think, at Project Opportunity and at the City of Boston, we're really looking to shift the narrative around second chance residents, whether it's through recovery or being impacted by CORI or other barriers. So I think, this is one great opportunity to do that. So thank you for your partnership on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And one maybe last question, and I know there are a number of questions about housing and language access, and we're here at the city happy to help you with that. Definitely reach out to any one of us or myself, and I can put you in the right direction. Maybe John or Jen, can you talk about how you deal with setbacks from clients that thought they were doing good with your services, but then there was a significant setback?
I'll take it, Jen. So obviously, recovery isn't linear. People have setbacks. And so what the important thing to do is to make sure that we get people to the right level of care, right? The appropriate level of care, to always be doing a reassessment of where they are and what their services need. So if somebody needs medical attention, then you get them to the hospital, you get them to a acute treatment services, a detox unit. If it's they need stabilization, and you would try to get them into a CSS or a TSS program. It's really about reassessing and always keeping people engaged at where they are and trying to help them move from one position, from pre-contemplation to contemplation to action, etc. So it's assessing them and making sure that they're in the appropriate level of care. At no point do we want to disengage with anybody. It's about keeping them engaged in their recovery and helping them move through the system.
So we recognize that, and we sort of are here for when, setbacks or, other things happen. We're here to pick it up. And if that didn't work for you in that way, then we'll find something else that might work for you in this way. But the goal is to stay connected regardless. So if it's not John's program that's working for you right now, then we're going to work together with our partners across the city and in the field to find, what the path for you would be.
Well, thank you all for your input. This has been an incredible conversation. We want to keep it going. So attendees, panelists, please, again, exchange information, stay in touch, check out all the resources online. Special thank you to Mayor Walsh for this charge to really support people impacted by CORI and as part of the recovery community. Special thanks to Chief Martinez, the HHS cabinet, for all the great work that you do around breaking down barriers. Thank you to Trin, the entire OWD team, to the Project Opportunity team, to our panelists, especially John, Jen, Carla, Kevin, Rufus, Hannah, Marisa. Thank you so much. We could not do this work without your partnership. To our friends impacted by CORI or in recovery who are looking for workforce opportunities, there are so many resources that have been lifted up today. But again, please look out for our CORI-friendly job fair that's happening all through the month of October. So you would have seen a link there. And finally, we just, encourage you to keep up, the fight. If you're impacted by CORI or you're in recovery, one day at a time, stay in the day, put your best foot forward every day, ask for help when you need it. As the mayor said, the city of Boston is certainly a resource, as well as all of our partners. So please, again, take advantage, and happy National Recovery Month, everyone. Thank you all for your time, and be safe, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.